What's good people? Welcome back to Whole Views. Thank you for clicking that thumbnail. My name is Corey, and today we're going to be talking about the Mandalorian Season 3 premiere. So for the purposes of this video, I just want to do a recap and give you my three big takeaways. Starting off with the opening of the episode, we get a great scene where it seems like it's a flashback because there's a young boy who's taking the Mandalorian creed and he's putting on that helmet for the first time. And I was fully under the impression that this was a flashback to Din Djarin taking the oath and putting on his helmet for the first time. But we get a great action scene with this huge alligator space monster who is tearing up this huge group of Mandalorian warriors. And then you get towards the end of this action sequence, you get Mando and Grogu showing up and blowing stuff up. And it's just such a great way to open the show. I had so much fun with it. As I was watching it, I was kind of looking and like nitpicking at some of the CGI. The only moment that I felt like was kind of off is like they used the flamethrower in one of the corners of the shots. And I was like, that's cool that they're using a flamethrower because the Mandalorian fighters always use those flamethrowers and like the big blaster weapons. But I thought to myself, this was a very cool opening scene. With that one little CGI nugget aside, it looks great. The big monster looks great. Everything looks real and believable, even though we know so much of it is CG. It came through quite well. And I really liked Mando showing up and saying, hey, like, I know y'all are the tribe, but I'm the big dog still. And it came across like that with him showing up and then popping the top and looking straight at that armor and that armor looking back, just knowing, glad you came. So the story progresses and a lot of things happen. We get the reason for Din Djarin wanting to reanimate IG-11. So he goes to that world, he finds the scraps, they start putting it together. It goes horribly, which leads to another big moment in the episode to me, and not necessarily the pirate stuff, because that is cool, but it's way cooler the second time they come around. The moment that I want to talk about here and like pause on is the fact that we get these Azalians. You get those guys showing up, and it's just a lot of evidence in their scenes that Disney and Star Wars working together put their heads together and focus on creating the most ugly yet adorable little creatures. You know, Grogu himself is hideously adorable. And then you get the same thing with these little Azalian characters. Like they talk like mushmouth and they stumbling over their words and repeating themselves over and over. You get the cool little talking with Carl Weathers' character. He's interpreting for them and he doesn't really need to be interpreting for them. And that comes across in a comedic fashion. But more importantly than that, you get the existence of another cute little race of characters in the Star Wars universe. And I'm hype about it. I like those little guys. They were very funny to me. And again, I like the inclusion of all these adorable, hideous little monster people inside that world. So the story continues and these guys conclude that they can't actually fix IG-11. Din Djarin is now convinced that he must go out, find another piece and get this droid working because it's the only one he trusts to go to Mandalore and lead him in that way. So it's cool that that's part of the mission now. That's going to be some of the story moving forward. But he decides to go and see Bo-Katan. And on his way there, we get the absolute best moment in TV that I've seen in a while, which is this dogfight in space going through the asteroids. The Mandalorian, when Rick Famuyiwa puts his hand on it, and that's what I'm going to talk about in that takeaway section. When Rick has his hands on the Mandalorian character, there's always a way to make him come across as more imposing, more dangerous, more deadly in the Rick Famuyiwa episodes. And I can remember all the way back to season 1, I'm thinking of the first time I saw Rick Famuyiwa's name flash directed by, and it's like, man, it comes across each time. He makes some of the best episodes of Mandalorian, and this one with this dogfight was amazing to see. This dogfight is something that you can't watch it on the iPad. You can't watch this stuff on a phone. You got to put this on the big screen in your house, and you got to turn the volume up and enjoy it for all the presentation that it brings to this fight. And it was very well done, and I really enjoyed it. It was riveting to see. After that fight concludes, you get him showing up to the little Mandalorian castle, and he talks to Bo-Katan, and Bo-Katan is, updating him on the fact that everybody's gone and she's by herself. And so, because he has the Darksaber, he can go and lead that group but he has no interest in that. He's only interested in getting back in the good graces of his tribe. And she goes on to, kind of disrespect the tribe and call them a cult still. And it's cool. I like the cult, actually, like the way these boys truly believe in everything that they're doing. It's cool. And eventually I would like to see these factions come together. But for the moment, it's cool to see everybody scattered, and hopefully by the end of the season, we can see them all come together in some form or fashion to fight against some type of common enemy. But I don't want to prognosticate about where the season could be going. I enjoy the show. I enjoy the show bringing me anywhere they want to take me, because over the last 2 or 3 seasons, these guys have earned an immense amount of goodwill. So happy to see the show kick off strongly. Now let's get to my 3 big takeaways, because I do have 3 takeaways about the show after watching this premiere. First takeaway, and it came immediately, is the fact that The Mandalorian has the best theme music as well as the best score when it comes to a lot of these shows. I know that like The Last of Us gets a lot of credit, but it's really and truly the string guitar that they get straight from the game. It's not much of their score that changes episode to episode or in this adaptation of it. But Mando was an original theme. It comes on each episode, and there's variations that play each episode, and each time I'm just captivated by it. It's one of the things that I'll watch the credits just so I can get through the whole medley. I really like the way that thing plays out, and I feel like it adds a lot, because when it was coming on during like the asteroid fight, man, it was very impressive. I really liked it, and that's a takeaway for me. One of the best theme songs that they have out there, even though it has no words. It's just great to hear. 2, going back to it, I mentioned it earlier, Rick Famuyiwa's episodes each season tend to be some of the favorite stuff that I get from the show. Like, I really like the episodes that are directed by him. The one that I think of is his very first one, where I think Mando was on a ship meeting up with some old friends, and they had an interaction and things weren't going well. And the way things broke down was that Mando individually took out each person. Now, again, this was at the beginning of the show, and we didn't know if Mando was actually killing people. It really did give off the vibes as if he was totally eliminating these characters. But at the end of the episode, we get them all locked up in a cage together, and Mando's still heroic coming out of it, but it really felt like a Batman moment when I think back to that episode. Like, he was that cool. He was that intimidating, strong, silent, moving in, sneaking up on people and taking them out. And the same thing to me kind of comes across here in this dogfight. Like, he's hiding in asteroids, he's popping out of pockets and setting people up for the kill. And it was very cool, man. And he does this every time he directs an episode. I remember those that he does. So big shouts out to Rick Famuyiwa and all his Mandalorian work. I'm really enjoying it. And the third takeaway is something that I actually just got into online with a friend of mine who's a big Star Wars guy, Ben. He had posted like thanks to somebody for saying that Mando is better than Andor. And my original thought was, who said anything else? Like, who said that Andor was better? Here's the thing that, the actual takeaway that I want to mention when talking about all the Disney Plus shows. Mandalorian in relation to Andor first. Andor is better made. Andor feels like a movie. It feels cinematic. The production value feels higher. It just feels like a better made property. But Mandalorian, the vibe that it gives off is untouchable, is irreplaceable, and it makes for a better viewing experience. It is a better show, not because of the production value, but just because of the vibe that it gives. It's classic Star Wars meets new storytelling. Man, it just has a better mesh. It's more fun to watch and follow week to week, while Andor was so serious and dark and gritty. Mandalorian has all the vibes. You can get a bit of seriousness. You can get a little bit of comedy. You can get some family moments with that father-son dynamic of him protecting Grogu and Grogu just being present and able and capable to do a little bit of self, as well as the sci-fi feels. You get everything with Mandalorian, and that's what makes it an all-around better show than Andor, even though it may not have the same production value as Andor. And bigger takeaway still for number 3 is the idea that there's not many Disney Plus shows that I would put above The Mandalorian. I just wouldn't. It's probably easily top 3 of all the shows that they've made. Marvel shows, Star Wars shows, Mando, gotta be in the top 3. So That's my takeaways. That's my 3 takeaways. That's the video, y'all. If you've watched this far, I want to thank you so much for watching. I would beg you to subscribe to the channel, share the video, like the video, and come back and check out more stuff because I'll probably be coming in and doing these recaps each week when it comes to The Mandalorian. It's one of my favorite shows. There we go, y'all. Enjoy yourself. Guard your heart. Go watch something good.